Okay. Then I'm going to play you a short video instead of talking to you about it because I think that'll be the best way. Ainsworth was a student of Bowlby's, and she identified a task to determine what attachment styles children had at the age of like 2 or 3 or so forth. And instead of me just talking about it, I'm going to show you what the task is about. And we'll look for, as we're thinking about those 4 components of attachment that come into this task.
But can the essential elements of home life be translated into a standard laboratory setting for controlled scientific study? After conducting extensive...
I think I have the right video, but hang on a second, let me just check here because I looked at 3 different ones today. All right, I'm just going to briefly tell you about the task because that accent makes it a little weird, but basically she set up a lab and she asked mothers to come in with their 2 3-year-old children, and she set up a situation where they go into this strange room and they want to first see, when the mom and child sit down, is there a secure base? Does the child explore? So they want to see how much the child looks at the toys and engages. Then mama sits in the chair. She's not playing with the child. Then they have a stranger, not a nasty stranger, usually a woman, a nice woman, who the child doesn't know though, who comes and sits down with the mother. And so we observe, does the child proximity maintenance? Remember that second component of attachment. Does the child keep the mother in sight? Are they trying to stay near the mother? The answer is they should if they're attached. That's the way this plays out. Then the mother leaves the room for 3 minutes and comes back. Okay, they want to see what happens. Is the infant distressed? Is the infant, okay with the stranger being there? Usually here, the answer is, yeah, it's okay, because mom and the stranger have sat down together. And it's just like you would do at a daycare. When you've sat with the care provider for a little while, the child feels more relaxed, right? But then after a while, they come back and then the stranger leaves and then the mother leaves and the child is alone. And they want to see, does the child get distressed? And remember, separation distress is part of attachment. So we would expect that a securely attached child would feel distressed. And then finally, the last step, I've got them compressed a little. The stranger who was in the room before returns to comfort the child. Does the child let himself be comforted by the stranger, or is the child still upset? Mother returns, and then they observe safe haven. Does the child feel comforted when the mother returns? And we would want to see that, yes, when the mom returns, the child gets calmed down. And that's the strange situation. Just because of our time, I'm not going to play the video, but I'll post it up for you. And through that task, she identified 4 attachment styles. And the first one, it's so light here. I put this up because I just wanted to show the parenting link to it. But the first attachment style is secure, and that means all 4 of those. The child felt distressed when the parent left. The child was comforted when the parent returned. They explored when the parent was there, and so forth. Second, we see this avoidant attachment, the style that comes when the child repeatedly wants to see if the mother is there, discovers she's not there, and also discovers that he can't get near her. And then we end up with this avoidant attachment. We can have an ambivalent resistant attachment. It might play out like this. Mom leaves, the child is alone, the child is very distressed, but then when mom comes back, the child won't yield. The child looks away from her, is stiff toward her, won't be comforted, won't accept that love. It's like an ambivalent resistant attachment, like they know that something's wrong, mom is gone, but how are they attached? And then a disorganized attachment. This is like everything unpredictable. Maybe they even glom onto the stranger more than to the parent. There's nothing predictable in it. That's usually a consequence of a parent who is scary or unavailable or maybe dealing with addiction and things like that. This is like a neglectful, abusive situation. This is very rare. But these first ones, you can see that if we have pretty much consistently responsive, the expectation is secure attachment. If there's pretty much consistently unresponsive, we have this avoidant attachment. And then if it's inconsistent, like when parents in a good mood, they're responsive, and when they're in a bad mood, they're standoffish, then we might have that resistant style. And to close today, I have some examples we don't really have time to do, but I want to just show you that once again, this is a Western white framework. And by way of example, we know that BEM infants in Africa are always carried, but they're not always carried by the mother. Like there are a lot of different providers, big homes, big families, lots of providers. Would we expect this child to react differently than a child raised in a nuclear family with one mom, one dad, and that's it? Yeah, this child would probably be just fine with a stranger, right? They developed a trust in all those people, not just in mom. So we always have to take these and then make cultural adjustments. Women couldn't work if the child was the Western definition of secure. That assumes a nuclear family. Second one, in Germany, this is where I'm from, infants, a lot of avoidant. Like the dominant model in Germany is avoidant. Because the parents, like, they don't want their child to cry. They don't want their child to be comforted. That's like a weakness. And so they kind of teach that avoidance style, and the children do what's adaptive. Okay. So this could be a good kickoff for conversation. We had 3 times as long and we don't. So with that, I'm going to remind you once again, make sure you take, it's open tomorrow at noon. Make sure you take that practice exam that I gave you. There's a lot of items. And then the things that you look at, you're saying, what the heck is this about? That's what you need to study. Look at your mistakes, because you'll see little why you made a mistake there. So I explained those things. That took a lot of time. So do it. So do it before you take the exam. The exam is open Wednesday, 24 hours, midnight to midnight, 2.5 hours for the exam. Okay. All right. So I won't see you in here next week. And then the next week after that is our health break. And I hope all of you can relax and get some of your other work done during that time. And as I said, we're going to start back by combining content a little bit, like doing cognitive development all the way through the middle year, through up until adolescence. But we're going to outline some of the things that we haven't covered. And if you feel like taking some kid's Halloween candy, no, I'm joking. Telling some child you took their Halloween candy.
I have a question about